What up, boxing fans? Thank you for tuning back in. This is JMC. I am the unprofessional expert. Got a really exciting episode for you today. Got a guest. I'm super excited about it. Before we get into that, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, because if you do not, I will literally fight you in real life. So that's super important. JMC, the unprofessional expert. I'll let you know who I am, and I'm going to go ahead and let my guest introduce himself.
Dubois Johnson, fighter slash boxing coach, Golden Glove champion, all that good stuff.
Thank you for tuning in with me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, shit, I like being here. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So we are here to talk about last night's activities. The champ is here and new. We are talking about Devin Haney versus
the dream.
The Dream versus the Nightmare.
Yeah.
And he put on a nightmare of a performance.
Facts. Oh, my goodness, man. I'd hate to be his team right now, man. Preparing as long as he did and all that. He did kind of talk a gang of shit, leading up to the fight. It was a good build-up, but you said he was going to do this and going to do that. This was your best training camp ever, supposedly. You had more time to train and to, come out with that kind of lackluster performance. I just feel bad for his whole entire team and him, of course. He got it, not just lost, but got his belt took and everything he worked for. Yeah, man, he's in a bad spot right now.
He's in a bad spot. This is the second loss of his career, and I actually am one of the people who weren't a believer in the Devin Haney experience, and so him being able to do what he did against a formidable opponent of the likes of Regis Prograis, I am now changing my opinion on how I feel about Devin Haney.
Yeah.
I do think he's a real deal. I hate the output that Prograis had. It looked like he wasn't able to figure Haney out.
Yeah, and I think that all took place after he got dropped for the first time with that right hand. Not dropped for the first time, but the first time in that fight he got dropped with that straight right hand. It's just you could see his whole demeanor change. He was afraid to take chances, to take risks. He was overly cautious at moments in the fight. Even when he had Haney up against the ropes, you didn't see him trying to, let his hands go. I think it's because he felt something, man. They say Haney can't punch, but, you could see that these guys are feeling his shots. I never understood why these guys were so adamant that Haney couldn't punch. You don't see it. They said the same thing about Mayweather when he was Money Mayweather, but you never see anybody running up on him just throwing crazy. That kid got some power, I think, in my opinion.
I like that comparison, the Mayweather comparison.
Yep.
Masterclass, he's there to outbox you. He's strong. He's not going to take too many risks. He's just going to make you look silly against really strong guys who you think have a chance. And once they get in the ring, it's like, why did I go against Devin Haney?
Yeah.
I really like that comparison. Do you think that Devin Haney has Floyd Mayweather-type potential?
I think he does. As far as how because he's still, he's only, 24?
25.
25,
he's
yeah,
young.
25. He's a young man. He's still figuring out. He's still coming into his own. And you know how that is as a fighter. You pick up different things about the game. The older you get, the more mature you get. You start learning a better way to do things, and you start developing yourself. So I think he's got a whole lot of potential, man, to fill those shoes and be another Mayweather. I don't really like the term and the next Mayweather and the next whoever. I think the next whoever is going to be the next whoever he is. I think Devin Haney got a special thing going on of his own. He might be a little bit different from Mayweather, a little bit better in some ways. I've been impressed with this. I know you wasn't sold on him, but I was sold on him ever since he fought Kambosos, man. He went over to that man's country and fought him twice. So he went and he got them belts out the mud. He got that undisputed. He beat the man that beat the man. So he went over to that guy's country, got those belts, fought him twice to do it. Then he went around, fought Lubachenko in a really great fight. I've been sold on Devin Haney. I think he's that guy.
We've got the ring bell going off. If you are wondering what that is, no worries. We are live here in the gym, so we're getting ready to spar after this. You ready?
Yeah. I'm ready.
I'm absolutely not.
That's okay. You one of those, man. You can wing it. I seen you when you had a shape. You got the veteran experience. Even when you're out of shape, you in there thinking and making guys work harder than what they should be doing. I saw you spar, so you know.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
That is a compliment
Yeah,
because
for
I
sure.
look terrible.
No.
I appreciate that. So we're talking about Devin Haney. You mentioned he beat the man, he beat Teofimo, who beat Lomachenko. The title's going around. Devin Haney moved up. And according to sources that I cannot confirm, Devin Haney is going to move up to 147. And so we are talking about some really interesting matchups there at welterweight. And so we could be looking at the likes of the great Terrence Bud Crawford.
Man,
How do you feel about that?
I hope he stays away from Bud. Yeah, I mean, no, not right now, man. So go fight some of these other guys at 147. You know, I thought he was going to stick around with 140. I mean, he just won the belt there. I'm surprised to hear that he's already thinking about going up to 147. But I understand the hot new thing has become, you know, multiple division world champions, you know, world champion in different weight classes. So I get that. But no, Terrence Crawford, nah, that's a little too much, I think, for him right now. I think they're doing right by him. I think they're developing him well, choosing certain guys to help develop him as a fighter, guys that will give him that challenge, that test. But I think Terrence Crawford a little bit beyond him right now. Terrence Crawford on an island of his own right now.
I agree. So fighting Crawford might be a little bit of a reach at this point of his career, but I do like a challenge. I don't like the guys who go and fight somebody who's 60th in the world. So I think someone along the likes of maybe a Keith Thurman, something of that nature. I would love for Sean Porter to get back in the ring.
Yeah.
He's actually one of my favorite guys. So a formidable test like that, not a gatekeeper, but somebody who would be a statement win.
Right.
The way that Regis Prograis was a statement win. So I do agree that he could stay at 140, but Haney looks big.
Yeah.
He looks strong for these lightweight, junior, welterweight weight classes.
Right.
And I think his strength is actually carrying up. And so it might have been hurting him to cut weight, and he's actually stronger as he moves up.
Yeah.
And so down the line, you know, Crawford or whoever that guy is, Boots Ennis now has a belt.
Yeah.
You know, however it is we feel about that.
Yeah,
So what do you think about Haney Boots Ennis matchup?
Man, that would be a good matchup too. I think Boots Ennis, man, I got mixed feelings about him. You know what I mean? I just feel like he ain't really made any kind of statement against anybody. You know what I mean? He hasn't fought anybody with really a name like that. I don't know if he really wants to fight anybody with a name or his team. You know what I mean? He had multiple chances to fight Crawford. And it seems like, you know, that keeps falling through somehow. You know, I don't want to say anybody's scared of anybody, but it's questionable, suspect. So yeah, no, but Haney and Boots, that would be a good fight. Real, you know, that's when we would get to see what both guys are really made of, because they both have that same kind of style as far as athleticism and boxing ability. So yeah, I would like to see that.
I'll be honest. If I was Boots, I would duck Crawford.
Yeah.
Not lining up to fight him. I mean, we're all in the fight game, you know, so we got that pride, but he's on I'm a fan. If you haven't realized. So
Of Boots?
No, Boots is okay.
Okay,
But
okay.
Crawford, that's my guy.
Yeah.
I've been excited about his entire career. I'll probably talking about him on every show, so I'm sure if you're not a Crawford fan, I'm annoying you. But I'm a big fan of Terrence Crawford. So hopefully we get that next fight between him and Spence, or just another opponent.
Right.
But going back to the junior welterweight division, a lot of these guys talk. A lot of these guys are on Twitter. They're on the internet. We got a call out by Ryan Garcia. We got a call out by Shakur Stevenson. I'm actually not a fan of either one of these guys. How do you feel about how much these guys talk on the internet compared to what they are giving us some fight value?
That's tough. I actually think Shakur is a decent fighter. I think he's got of course he's got a lot to prove as well, but I mean, at least he's got a world championship. Ryan, you know, Ryan, he kind of just known for his one fight with Tank You know what I mean? And of course, that went how it went, and he wasn't successful. But I admit he did surprise me with the fight with Tank, the way he came out and was aggressive. And even when he got knocked down, I mean, there's something to be said that he got up and he kept fighting hard. And he does have, you know, the natural things that you see, the obvious things like speed and power. But as far as his boxing IQ and his boxing ability, that still remains to be seen. I'm not impressed. I see more from Shakur as far as boxing ability and you know, wit and all that than Ryan. So Ryan still got to show me that he's in that category. I mean, they're calling him the Four Kings around like 140-ish and stuff, bro. I'm like, I don't even know why they're saying Four Kings and stuff. They're comparing him to Hagler and Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard. They fight each other, you know what I mean? And these guys still, not one of them has fought each other. So, yeah, it's crazy.
That is definitely a terrible comparison to those absolute legends. Some of those guys are my favorite fighters of all time. We're talking the great, marvelous Marvin Hagler. We're talking Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy the Hitman Hearns. We're talking about absolute legends. Ryan Garcia is not in that conversation. No disrespect. He might have the potential to get there. He's active in the sport, and so it does help the sport of boxing overall that these guys are talking. So hopefully we can get off of Twitter and in the ring with it. Guys love calling each other out, but business and politics do get in the way sometimes. So hopefully, if we're going to call these guys, these young guys, the Four Kings, we get those matchups and maybe even a couple of rematches, trilogies, if they're actually good fights. So we'll be looking forward to see what happens next in the welterweight, junior welterweight, lightweight, super lightweight, those divisions. It's a mix-up of a lot of young, hungry talent, and so we'll see what they bring to the fight game moving forward. So overall, that is pretty much our recap over Haney, Prograis. Prograis is going to have to go back to the drawing board. It's going to be a reset for him, and Haney trajectory does change. It goes up now. We are excited. We're fans of Haney's career and what he does next. Does he belt chase? Does he fight big names? We'll see what Haney does. Another topic. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I do have one more thing to say about
sir.
Ryan
Yes,
Garcia.
sir.
Ryan Garcia, man, I give him credit because a long time ago he said in an interview that belts don't mean nothing. And he kind of proved it. You know what I mean? When he fought Tank, I think that was the highest pay-per-view sales, I think, of this year. You know what I mean? When him and Tank fought each other. And the belt wasn't even on the line. You know what I mean? And so he said with belts don't mean nothing, and he's kind of showing it. I mean, once you become a personality and you become popular, you become a world title. You know what I mean? You become a world title. You could even win a world title, and people won't give you legitimacy because you didn't beat Tank. You see what I mean? So I think Tank has become bigger than a world title, and he has become a world title to gain off of beating him. So I respect Ryan Garcia for doing that, but I think he wants to legitimize himself because people are saying that he's not even a world champion, and I think lately you've been hearing him say, I want to go out and get a world championship belt, and he has been calling these guys out. Anybody with a belt, he's been calling out, and I think he wants it. I think he's serious about fighting them too. So I do give him a lot of credit for that because he has proven that he will do whatever he needs to do to get the guy that he wants in the ring. And I don't see these other fighters making that kind of, commitment like that. Everybody wants to play it safe. Well, if it's not at the weight I want, I'm not going to do it. If the money ain't right, I'm not going to do it and all that stuff. So, yeah.
You know what? Even before going into our next topic, I really like what you just said. And so I do want to speak on that. Just speaking about titles. So my opinion on that, and I actually really like that take because that's an interesting take. In this day and age, it does seem like titles are watered down.
Right.
We've got 4 belts per weight class. Guys are holding on to them. They get to the top, and then they fight absolute nobodies and call out everybody else with a belt. It seems like, as two people who put those gloves on before and have stood in this ring and have battled, through the blood, sweat, and tears, as a kid, you think about that belt.
Right.
But that's changing now. Oh, it's more glory that comes with the fight game. Mm-hmm. And so you don't have to title chase, belt chase, pay all those sanctioning fees. Those sanctioning bodies get millions of dollars off of these $1 million boxing matches. Mm-hmm. You can keep that $1 million in your pocket and just fight another big name fighter.
Right.
I do hope that titles do gain their importance again. I hate the fact that there are so many belts.
Yeah.
The WBC just added a weight class, Bridger weight. Now I don't know. I hate that.
It's the organizations, man. They're creating all these different belts, and the organizations don't hold their champions accountable. You see guys holding onto these belts for years without fighting their mandatory. Does mandatory even mean anything anymore? You know what I mean? Like these guys become mandatory #1 contender, and the organizations will let another fight happen because, oh, it's Canelo. They fighting a guy like Canelo, or they're fighting a guy with a bigger name. So the belts will let those fights happen instead of the guy that actually earned it, that became the mandatory or the #1 contender. So, yeah, man, these organizations, they're ruining what it means to be a world champion and to have that belt and all that. And like you said, they're creating a whole bunch of different belts and giving it to guys without really earning it. And so you don't know who's like the top dog anymore. That's why Undisputed is so important, because that's the man. You know what I mean? He got all the belts. You got to come to him to be known as the greatest or the best or whatever. So.
In that situation, in that scenario, is exactly how Jerron Boots Ennis ended up with a belt. He was the mandatory for forever, even though I think Crawford was unlawfully stripped of his title, didn't even get to defend it. So that just speaks to the politics of boxing. So that is actually a really great conversation, and I think that's something that more fight fans, more of the fight game should talk about. What's going on with these belts and how guys are gaining more fame than what that belt can bring, and that just didn't used to be the case.
No.
So we'll see how things go. So going back into our next topic. So here recently, I on my socials. I am on socials. We have TikTok. We've got Instagram, Twitter. X, formerly known as Twitter. If you are on socials, the Unpro Expert. That is short for the Unprofessional Expert. So go ahead and check that out. Follow, like, subscribe, because I will lay hands if you don't. I absolutely mean this.
He can lay those hands. I've seen it, especially back in the amateur days.
Back in the day.
Oh my goodness.
Back in the day. I appreciate that.
Nobody wanted to fight Jeremiah.
So speaking on, my appreciation post was to Clarissa Shields. I'm a fan. I actually think she does not get the respect that she deserves. And what I mean by that is she is a 2-time Olympian. Speaking to the amateurs, she is the only 3-time undisputed champion of the world. And what that means is she won all of the belts in 3 different weight classes. No one else has accomplished that. We've got Bud. He's done it in 2 weight classes here recently. But Clarissa has done it in 3 in just 14 fights. I do think that she should get more respect, more clout, more recognition for what it is that she brings to the fight game for women and women's boxing. But it's like, let's say that Bud or Floyd accomplished exactly what Clarissa has accomplished. They would be the best thing that ever happened to the sport.
Yeah.
Do you think that Clarissa gets the respect that she deserves? Is it a women's thing? Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I don't think she gets the respect she deserves, because definitely all those accomplishments are. If it was a male doing that, they would be calling him the best thing since Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? So, no, she doesn't get the respect she deserves. She has been definitely a patron, a leader for women's boxing. And I think that's kind of, it's part of the organization's fault. I think women's boxing needs to have the same amount of rounds as men's boxing. I think they would take it a little more seriously then. And it needs to have the same minutes and the same rounds, the same number of minutes and the same number of rounds as men's boxing. I think then it would be a little more, maybe it would be a little more brutal. And I think maybe people, that's just my opinion, that maybe that's why they're not taking it so seriously, because it's less rounds and it's kind of watered down for women. And I don't feel like it needs to be watered down. I mean, they're going through the same things we're going through as far as training, injuries, all that stuff. So let them fight the same number of rounds. Let them fight the same number of minutes, and let's see what happens. You know what I mean? I think they should be treated equally. But I think since they're not treated equally, I think people look at it as like a watered-down version of men's boxing, and so they don't want to really tune in. That's what I think, but I don't know. I really am speculating as to why she doesn't get her accolades. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's a color thing. I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? I kind of feel like it's a bit of that also, honestly. I think that she has been showing. I think that if she had a different complexion, she'd be a little more popular. I'm sorry to be controversial, but
speak the truth.
We all know what it is. We all know what it is. We've seen that happen. History done shown a million times that if you got the complexion for the protection, and if you have the same achievements that somebody with darker skin has, but just because you ain't got that darker skin, you're gonna be boosted on the platform. But, we've been doing that. So, you know what I'm saying? So, I think that's part of the issue, honestly. There's some things I don't like about Clarissa Shields. I don't like that I feel like she clout chases sometimes because she doesn't get that respect. You know what I mean? She doesn't get the respect of being who she is. I think that she clout chases by attacking some of these male fighters. Like, she went after Keith Thurman. Went after Keith, knowing damn well he's not going to step in the ring with you. She went after another fighter, too, Gervonta Davis, when they had a little beef going on when Jake Paul fought, the YouTuber, the content creator, when he fought. Clarissa Shields had something to say about it, and Gervonta is like, well, why don't you keep that same energy with everybody? Why are you giving the YouTuber props? And so she went at Gervonta Davis. I didn't think that was cool. Why are you going after these male fighters, these male fighters in that kind of fashion? You know what I mean? I just don't get it. So, I don't like when she clout chases like that and she try to come off as classy. Like, I'm just being classy. No, you just clout chasing. You know what I mean? You're just trying to get attention, bring attention to yourself. And I get it. Like, you should have that attention just off of base what you did alone. She was at the Crawford Spence fight over here with Crawford talking about, there's only two of us that are 3 division or 2 division undisputed champions and everything. Like, why wasn't you in Spence's locker room? I think she had a closer ties to Spence. Spence actually sparred with her before. And so why wasn't you in the losers locker room, consoling him? Instead, you wanted to be right by Crawford, right where the cameras were at so you could get your name off. So, no, I feel like she'd be cloud chasing sometimes. I'm not with that. But other than that, she is a superb, spectacular fighter that deserves her accolades. She deserves recognitions for what she has done. Because she has done a lot for women's boxing for herself. I mean, she does it, and she got style, man. The way she comes out, the way she got the gift of gab. Why isn't she being promoted and boosted up as one of the best fighters that have come out of, the world that we've ever seen? It doesn't make no sense. And to me, that when it doesn't make sense like that, it's about either one or two things. It's about money or it's about complexion. And in this case, I think it's about complexion.
That is an honest take, and I do appreciate that take. Sometimes who fighters are, their personas, their personalities, the image that they build kind of takes away from the packaged, the phenomenal athlete that they are, what they deliver inside of the ring. And so maybe there are some things that Clarissa could work on outside of the ring that could potentially boost, her clout.
Yeah,
that clout you spoke on. Yeah. You also mentioned, how many rounds they fight, the length of the rounds, which is actually really interesting because just here recently, the future Hall of Famer Amanda Serrano actually vacated her WBC belt because they would not sanction 12 3-minute rounds.
Right.
And so that just kind of speaks directly to what you were saying. She wants it to be on par with what's happening with the men's championship fights.
Yeah.
She wants to fight on that same level. And so I actually shouted her out for that, congratulated her on taking that stand. It's not a lot of fighters, not a lot of athletes who will take a stand against something, worrying about, that paycheck or
facts,
repercussions. Mm-hmm. So things like that help for the sport, and hopefully we can get those future women athletes on par with what's going on in the men's sport, because it's absolutely blowing up. It's really important to get the ladies on par. I've got daughters, so I'm an advocate for what's happening in women's sports and women's boxing. So with that being said, got one more topic, and I'm hoping that this one is controversial.
Okay.
Because I've got an opinion that I don't know if everyone will agree with, but we've been talking about the current state of boxing and what's going on. I'm going to take it back a little bit and speak on what I like to call fantasy matchup is one of my favorite topics. Typically with a little bit of tequila or Hennessy comes great conversations.
Right.
And so
That's when the truth comes out.
Definitely.
Right.
I want to talk about what you think would have happened and between the great Floyd Money Mayweather and Aaron the Hawk Pryor. And my take isn't really all that controversial. Just it's short and sweet. And I actually think that Aaron Pryor would have dog walked Floyd Mayweather in his prime.
So we had to be clear. So you're talking about Money Mayweather.
There are two different Mayweathers. So
Yes,
that is a good clarifying question.
Is two different Mayweathers.
We got Floyd, Money Mayweather, and we got Pretty Boy Floyd.
Right.
So young Pretty Boy Floyd was a dog. He actually fought you. And Money Mayweather was defensive. It was more of a marketing scheme that he had. Well, let's not call it a scheme, but he played it safe. He was defensive. He didn't take as many risks. But I actually don't think it matters.
Yeah.
I think Aaron Pryor would have dog walked either version.
Okay.
I think he was solid. I think he was what the fight game needs right now. Somebody who will give you everything, every fight, every round, every minute, blood, sweat, tears, aggression. He was there to fight.
Yeah.
And I just wonder how Floyd Mayweather would have kept Aaron Pryor off of him. I mean, of course, he's got great defensive technique, the shoulder roll. But Aaron Pryor just comes from a different era to where you would have had to fight to get him off of you. You're not going to shoulder roll away 100 punches around.
Okay.
How do you feel about that matchup?
I think Money Mayweather, I think Aaron Pryor would have beat him. Pretty Boy Floyd, no. I don't think so. I think Pretty Boy Floyd showed the ability to fight off guys that did come there to, like Aaron Pryor has that rough style. I don't know if you saw Pretty Boy Floyd versus the dancing man, Emmanuel Augustus.
I did. One of my favorite fighters.
Yeah. He has his style kind of actually reminds me of Aaron Pryor's style in some ways, as far as the awkwardness and working different angles and things like that. And so once I saw him fight him like he did, and figure him out, and not just that, the condition that he was in. He did that round after round after round. I think he could keep somebody like Aaron Pryor off of him. I think he's faster. I wouldn't necessarily say he's stronger, but he's faster. But he has the strength to make Aaron Pryor respect him, not just bull rush all the time. I think he could put something on him to where Aaron Pryor would have to respect his power and not just come in reckless. And I always thought that was a way to beat especially Money Mayweather. You got to stay on top of him. You can't let him do his thing, get into his rhythm. You got to be in his chest till he drops. And I thought that was a way to get him, Money Mayweather. But I don't think you can do that with Pretty Boy Floyd. He got too much snap on his shots. He got too much power, and he got the speed and the leg movement to keep you guessing. So, no, I don't see Aaron Pryor being able to, to deal with Pretty Boy Floyd in that way. But, I mean, Aaron Pryor, man, all of them guys from the old school are great champions. If Aaron Pryor, I didn't think Aaron Pryor could beat Sugar Ray Leonard.
Great matchup.
You know what I mean? Great matchup. Yeah. And that should have happened, you know what I mean? I don't know why it didn't happen back in the day, but that fight should have happened. But if Aaron Pryor could beat somebody like Sugar Ray Leonard, I would say that he could beat Pretty Boy Floyd. But I don't think that would happen either.
I'm a big Aaron Pryor fan.
Yeah, so, I could tell. The way you introduced the way you said his name, I could tell.
I'm gonna stand on that. He would have broke Floyd.
Well, what about him? What about him? Do you think that would have gave Mayweather problems?
Well, for me, I'm big on the entertainment value you could bring to the fight game. My defense wasn't the best.
Yeah.
I might have came in head first, and so I can relate to the style in itself. And so if you come in and it's obvious that you're giving your all, right. That closely relates to who I am and how I fight.
Right, so facts.
It might not be the best logic, boxing wise, but it's more just like a relatable factor. And so, Floyd, especially by the end of his career, was very defensive. He built up those fights, and they weren't always what he built them up to be, but respectable. He definitely grew the sport. He plays a big part in the fights that we see today. Yeah. So I'll respect Floyd in his career. Just a big Aaron Pryor fan.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: what do you think Aaron Pryor has that's better than Mayweather? As far as Pretty Boy Floyd, like, do you think he's faster? Do you think he's faster
more
than him?
grit, more grind.
More grit.
He may even have been stronger.
Okay.
You know, he just
I think he was stronger. I give you that. But the grit, I mean, Pretty Boy had a lot of grit. I saw that, especially in the against Emmanuel Augustus. You had to have grit to fight and beat somebody like that.
Shout out Emmanuel Augustus.
Yes.
Underrated guy.
Oh, yeah, for sure he was underrated. And he was robbed out of a whole lot of fights. A whole lot of fights. He was robbed. I don't know what the politics were behind that, but he got a whole lot of decisions took from him that he deserved to have the win. So, yeah, great fighter. One of those unsung fighters that people never talk about that was just a great fighter. I mean, had his own style and everything. So.
Shout out to Emmanuel Augustus. If you don't know, go check that guy out. Those highlights might be black and white.
Yeah, no, he got a lot of color. It wasn't that long ago.
I liked him. I really liked him as a fighter. So overall, man, that's our episode for today, man. I really appreciate you joining me today, man.
I like that. I want to do it more often, man.
Sure, for sure.
This is my first podcast experience, and I like it, man.
Shout out to Dubois.
Shout out to Dubois. I appreciate you, man. And to be honest with you, like, yeah, man, you're somebody I've always looked up to. And when I was first started amateur boxing, I was watching you when I first started, and I would see your fights, and I would see how you fight. And exactly how you described Aaron Pryor was how you used to fight. So I used to, and I told you, I was teasing you one time when you had a bad sparring experience. I was like, I used to look up to you, Jeremiah. But no, I always look up to you when I was coming up in the amateur. I still look up to you now, especially you doing your own thing with this podcast. This is cool. And as a fighter, man, it's just, man, I think you don't get to tell. I don't think people get to hear enough, you know, how from people watching on the outside just how good they was. You need to hear it because you was just amazing as a fighter. You had all those qualities that you talk about Aaron Pryor had. You had the grit. You had the skills. I always used to watch your eyes, the way you would look at things. I could tell the things that you wanted, and think you sometimes trick people with your eyes. You'd be looking at the head. You go to the body, things like that. I learned from you. So, yeah, man.
I appreciate that. I mean, I might put the gloves back on.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
I think you should, man. I think you should. I mean, you and your brother, y'all both come from that good fighting stock. You both have that ability. So if either one of you put the gloves on, somebody's in trouble.
Might be half a round or something, but
once you get in shape, you just gotta get in shape. I'll be eating nothing for you.
Right. Hey, man, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you once again for joining the show. I'll be looking forward to having you on, man. The opportunity is there, definitely. We're going to have you on some more episodes.
Cool, man. I love. Just let me know. I'll be there.
Thank you. Once again, this is JMC special guest, Dubois. We are the Unprofessional Experts. Once again, like, follow, subscribe, because my goal is to fight you if you don't. So we got to make sure that we're sharing these podcasts, these great conversations that we're having here. My quote of the day, I'm supposed to have a quote of the day on every show. My last quote was terrible, so it had to get taken out. So the quote for this is something that my dad always told me. One of the biggest impacts on who I am as a person, something that he used to tell me. He would always look at me with a drunk glaze over his eyes, and it's something that I'll never forget because it's like one of the only things he ever told me. But it was no pain, no gain, no sacrifice, no success. You got to go through the fire to become forged still. So I just want that to be a message for everybody. I took that, and it built my fight style. Yeah. It built who I am as a person. And so I'm going to share that with the world. If you didn't pick up anything else from this podcast, no pain, no gain, no sacrifice, no success. You got to go through the fire to become forged still. Thank you for checking us out. Until next time.